TPR.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 112 of the TPR pod. Today's episode is with Neelaksh Mathur. Neelaksh Mathur is a stand-up comedian in India. He's currently in Bangalore. That doesn't really matter. He's just a stand-up comic. Neelaksh is on the show talking about a few things. I found out about him through Irfan, and then I saw you should go check out his YouTube channel. He has some very funny clips and some vlogs and stuff on there. We talked about the state of stand up comedy in India, how Neelaksh became a stand up comic, what the stand up comedy scene is like in India, how popular it is, how it differs from city to city. And then the conversation took a turn. Neelaksh wanted to know a lot about Pakistan and the burgeoning stand up comedy scene in Pakistan. And also, then we talked about a bit more subjective things as well, based off a video he did, actually. And yeah, it's a really interesting chat. Love talking to people from India. We have a deep connection there, all three of us. So this is another one of those great episodes, like the ones with Jatin and Anshul Malhotra. So without further ado, let's get on with episode 112, Neelaksh Mathur.
I've not done a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've not done a lot, but lockdown may it just I had this sudden urge to have an audience because I do live stand up and the audience was not there. I think podcast is done by the most zen people. Like वो सुनते हैं बैठते हैं, आप बोलो भाई. Like I like that. All podcast hosts have कि हाँ हाँ तुम बोलो कोई बात नहीं edit पे देख लेंगे. I want someone like that in my life, and that's what my podcast experience has been. I just go and I rant, and it's more of therapy than a podcast, to be very honest.
Yeah, and over the last year, because of ye lockdowns, वगैरह, like lots of people have gotten heavily into making podcasts, not even just listening.
Yeah.
सबने बहुत से लोगों ने पाकिस्तान में भी especially, I don't know if it's similar in India, but पाकिस्तान में like
Oh, for
this there
sure.
was this explosion.
अब पता नहीं पाकिस्तान में किस तरह का पॉडकास्ट कंटेंट फटा है.
Yeah.
In India, there's a sudden surge of like self-help motivational content. So
अच्छा.
like every morning I open my Instagram, they're like three go to have breakfast, have your I'm like, oh dude, I'm waking up at 11:30 in the morning. I don't need you.
यार
Like,
I have this thing. You brought it up, तो मुझे बताना पड़ेगा. ये you know, productivity YouTubers, like I don't understand who they are for. You know, subah take cold showers and focus, empty your mind, read one book a week. I'm like, यार कौन करता है? Like इतनी मेहनत, and then to do what? What are you achieving with this focus? I don't know.
yeah, I think most of those guys they have more of a Western context.
Maybe.
Indian subcontinent, Asian continent के हिसाब से किसी ने productivity को सोचा नहीं है. You know, like I think Asian people need different kind of hacks. That okay, you take a 30-minute afternoon nap, then in the evening maybe like something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Lots of people. I found you through Clubhouse. Irfan told me about
Yes.
you, and Clubhouse पे I remember having these conversations with these guys, and there's like, बस भाई मैं सुबह उठता हूँ, मैंने गर्म पानी से नहाना छोड़ दिया, and then I'm like, फिर अब क्या हुआ? Like, no, I just wake up, अच्छा, and then you do what? You know, I just get to my
Yeah,
desk.
cold showers I couldn't get. I think the reason why there are so many self-help gurus, I look at it as a buffet. कि जिसका जो टिप मुझे कंफर्टेबल लगता है, लाइक किसी ने अगर बोला है कि या यू कैन बी अ नाइट पर्सन एंड यू कैन स्टिल बी सक्सेसफुल, किसी ने बोला है I ate anything till 35. I'm like, okay, I have till 35. तो मैं सबका best लेके I live my life like that.
जो अभी फिट हो रहा है already.
अभी अपनी लाइफ में कंफर्ट जोन में जो आ जाता है.
Yeah. But how has your पिछला साल been? I am also one of those people who are really like podcast heavy, and then उसका एक और category होती है ना जो podcast about comedy सुनते हैं, And then they're like,
Uh-huh.
bro, I understand now. Comedians kaise sochte hain. So this has been a big theme because, like, if
Yeah.
is this your 100% day job being a
No.
stand-up?
I mean, so I used to do stand up. अब मैं ऐसा बोलता हूँ because it's
Acha.
been a year and a half of
Yeah.
just not performing.
Mm.
We do Zoom shows, but
Right.
it's the different. So, but no, I have a day job. I work
Okay.
with a startup, and but my day job is also very creative. So,
Okay, good.
I'm lucky to not have that kind of a life where I don't like what I do for money, and so
Right, right.
that
That's
thing is
excellent.
by luck. So it
Ah,
has been good.
ah.
But yeah, last year, man, stand up, I look at stand up as gym, right? Why do people go to the gym? It's a daily routine thing. You get that dopamine hit every day, no matter what. Like, no matter how my day would go,
Mm.
I know in the evening I can go to an open mic. It's a win or a loss. Like, I know the decision. It's so predictive. And usually it's a win. Then you get to hang out with other comedians. It's a different life you live,
Yeah.
and you get used to that, right?
Mm.
Every day you're doing this, they are shitting on you, you're shitting on them.
Ah.
Like, that is the life, and what you do in the day becomes your part-time thing because you're constantly thinking about that open mic that you
Yeah.
have to go to.
Yeah.
For a year and a half, that need of preparing every day was not there. So I generally felt that I was not at the edge, like I was not at the best of my craft, or even
Mm.
creatively. Stand
Mm.
up keeps you, it's instant validation, right? So stand up keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
That thing was not there. So I just spent last year mostly focusing on my day job, learning a couple more skills. Mostly it has been about upskilling, reading a bit more, trying to like be more skillful in my stand up, as they say. My stand up, like, I think that before lockdown I was not very, I did not think through what I say. Now
Okay.
it has given me enough time to reflect on what I write, why I say what I
How
say.
long have you been doing stand-up before the lockdown happened?
Started stand up in 2015.
Okay.
So
5-ish years
it
nearly.
had, yeah,
Yeah.
it
So
has
okay. So
been
that's
a
long
long.
enough for you to like fully be in that world. And then ekdam se ruk gaya.
And still not be popular.
Yeah.
Just let me address that.
ये भी skill है. But where are you in Delhi or are
No,
you
I'm
Mumbai?
in Bangalore.
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 Okay.
Bombay, Mumbai, you don't get houses like these. This
Yeah.
may not happen in Mumbai.
Okay. So now being the ignorant person outside of India, मैंने सिर्फ दो शहर के नाम लिए जो कि मुझे पता थे. Even though मतलब I know the other cities, but in the entertainment context मेरे दिमाग में या तो
Sure.
दिल्ली आता या मुंबई आता, Bombay. अच्छा bro, what is the politically correct term? Is it Bombay or is it Mumbai? It's changed a few times.
आज आज के वर्ल्ड में what is political correctness? I think it's Mumbai, but if
Yeah.
I think sometimes I feel if I say Mumbai, some Britishers will get offended that it was Bombay. We
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
of it Bombay.
Yeah.
You can offend everyone.
उनका
You,
आईपी था ये. um
yeah,
so you're in Bangalore, and Bangalore, how
yes,
big? I know a few stand-up people in Pakistan, but Pakistan ka stand-up scene is much smaller due to, I think, the lack of venues primarily. तो stand-up का तो ये होता है ना कि you go like multiple times a week, if not every night, keep doing it, new crowds आते रहते हैं, you
yeah,
keep
yeah.
refining, and then that becomes like a perfected thing. Bangalore में क्या scene है stand-up का? Like, how are there like clubs where you can go?
So
How busy is it at the peak?
so India mein stand up scene, I think majorly is in, it's in a lot of cities now. I think it has grown since 2015, but the hubs of stand up, as I would say, would be Delhi, Bangalore, and Mumbai.
Okay.
Obviously Delhi and Mumbai, the scene started earlier, but I think Veerdas, when he started way back in 2012, 2013, these were the three cities where he would set up open mics.
Okay.
So one of the reasons for I started doing stand up in a city called Ahmedabad,
Yeah, yeah.
which is in northwestern Gujarat. Not a lot of sort of, not a very big stand up city, but my one of the reasons for me to shift to Bangalore was the kind of intensity at which stand up was happening in the city. Like, at one point of time, there were close to 10 to 11 open mics happening in a day.
Wow.
in Bangalore, right? And Bangalore is a big city, right? And
Yeah.
but the traffic is it's notorious for its traffic.
Yeah.
So if you're in one location, you just stay there and you keep doing the circuit there. So within Bangalore, there were these micro circuits that started
Right.
happening. That northern Bangalore has something, southern, and comics would do 2 to 3 to 4 open mics in a night. Like you could hear even in Mumbai and Delhi, this happens. From a venue point of view, comedy clubs, yes, there were comedy clubs, but they got shut over a period of time because economically these past few years haven't been great for live art forms anyways.
Okay.
And I think the business of running a comedy club is heavily dependent on how willing your audiences are to spend on luxury, right?
Okay.
If like the audiences make a choice between 400 rupees for a Salman Khan film in PVR and 599 rupees for a weekend show at a comedy club, right?
Yeah.
So this is the choice they have to make. And within live art form, to be able to keep selling tickets at weekend to weekend without necessarily so many acts that can sell so many tickets is a little difficult. So I think that's the reason why comedy clubs did not survive a lot in India. Some of them are still there, some of them are have really adapted and are doing really well in Bombay, in Delhi, but Bangalore currently doesn't have any comedy club.
Okay. Did the clubs make money? Jesse ke, my understanding of this is the American model where tickets say sure you make money, but the real money is in the food and drink wala scene.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're spending like 599 to get in, plus ab khana bhi mangao, wo bhi karo, so that adds up very quickly if you're going weekly, especially.
It does, and the whole purpose was to have a larger, say, addressable market for stand up, right? So that I don't have to rely on one audience to come every week, but I can
Mm.
have so many people coming week on week on week. But again, I think it's more of a luxury spending,
Yeah.
and that kind of spending behavior, I have not seen it in Indian audiences yet. So for America, it works because if you see there's $12 of entry, then there's two drinks minimum, right? If you go somewhere and if there's a surprise drop in, if Bill
Yeah.
Burr or someone like this drops in, then they increase the cost and it goes on like that. But in India, you can't just do that. People still
Mm.
compare
Mm.
that, okay, I can go watch a film, I can go do so many things. It's just one person on stage
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
And even then, for people to buy alcohol, for people to buy food, it gets a lot. So
Yeah.
until and unless the comedian is like really popular, really big, it's very difficult to sustain like that as a comedy
Mm.
club.
Was Veer Das genuinely the one of the first in India to start this? I saw his I heard his recent interview on this Good Ones ke naam se. There's this podcast where he was talking about the recent specials he's doing, थोड़े controversial type जो वो पंगे ले
Hmm.
रहा है. And he's like, he was inspired and then he went after acting school or something. But you mentioned him here. So I'm wondering how big of an influence was Veer Das in pushing the scene?
I think Veerdas is so he's not the first guy to do stand up in
Right,
India.
right, right.
Before Veerdas, Johnny Lever, and there had been a culture of stand up even in Maharashtra. Like the folklore people, storytellers were really
Mm.
popular, and they would do something very similar to stand up, right? They
Acha.
would do hour long shows which are just funny. So, and Johnny Lever then did something more closer to urbanized form of stand up, which is stand on a stage and do bits.
Yeah.
But Veerdas brought in this Western etiquette. Like it's not completely Veerdas, but I think a lot of things intersected at once.
Right.
The comedy store came from London to Bombay. They wanted to start a club. Around the same time, Veerdas has also come down. He had started doing his stores. He had started doing open mics. So having a comedy club along with a popular artist who's a Bollywood guy who's doing live shows and bringing this culture in. So I think one of one of the credits that he deserves is to bring this cadence of stand up as we know
Mm.
it in India,
Mm,
and
mm,
making it,
mm.
setting the system, like educated everyone that you do an open mic, you build a set, then you do an hour, then you do a club, then you do a
Right,
weekend, to
right.
set that etiquette, set that cadence.
Okay.
I think that's very important.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you get into this in 2015?
I
How old were
was
you in 2015?
I was 18.
Okay.
So I was 18 and I was just about to graduate my school, right? High school. I was in 12th standard. I was
Yeah.
giving my board exams,
Yeah.
and I had seen Russell Peters. That was my exposure to
Yeah.
stand up. And uh, I was just so fascinated. I think all I would not comment on everyone, but narcissism has been a thing, right? Like that's why we do what we do. It's just
Yeah.
सब attention मुझे चाहिए. I am the spotlight, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You see, most artists have the weirdest lighting in their room. Like you are an artist, you'll have some peculiar lighting
Yep.
because artists are narcissistic that way.
Yeah.
Ki so that has always been there, and I I was always into extempores in school and debating and always trying to win with wit kind of guy
Mm.
because sports nothing,
Right.
right? Looks not
Yeah.
the best, not a lot of money to like
Mm.
just brag. So wit comes in handy and you can put people down. So that was always a thing. And then they see Russell Peters, the
Mm.
most average looking, the most mediocre looking guy,
Yeah.
to be able to own a room
Yeah,
full of
yeah,
audience
yeah.
was so fascinating. So I saw him and then I stalked. Luckily, I had access to the internet, so I just searched stand-up comedy India, and it showed me the scene that was happening in Bombay. I could see that, uh, at that point of time, Tanmay Bhatt, Rohan Joshi, all these guys were just starting out. This was 2014, 2013.
Mm.
They were
Mm.
doing shows and open mics, but nothing was online. I saw in Ahmedabad there was one open mic, and even at that open mic, you had to write a script. Right, you have to literally write a 2 minute stand up script, which is the most awkward thing to read. If you write just a stand up script on
Yeah.
doc, you
Yeah.
you can't write punchlines like that, right?
Removes all the humor from the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like an essay.
Yeah.
So I wrote the worst, most stereotypical, I would say racist at times script as an 18-year-old, filled with expletives, and I sent it to them. This is in the middle of my board exams. Lied to my parents that I'm going to a friend's place to study.
Of course.
Went to the open mic, did
Yeah.
the open mic, and my jokes were not funny at all. But I was 18, so I had that innocence, right?
Mm.
That innocence you have before you realize that life is just sadness all the time. That
Yeah.
innocence
Yeah.
I had. And with that innocence, I was saying all these political things which were really controversial on stage, and that's what made people laugh.
Mm.
And I liked that. So that's how it started. Once I got into it, then we just started talking to cafe owners, started doing open mics of our own in different cafes, coffee shops, photo studios, whatnot. And then over a period of time, here we are with a day
Yeah.
job and stand up as a hobby.
When you say open mics, is it just comedy happening at these open mics, or there's like singers and stuff as well?
There are all kinds, but most comics, like most open comedy open mics, are just comedy open mics.
Okay.
I don't think you can do music with comedy, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
music is such higher of an art form in my opinion. It
Yeah.
it touches the soul. Like I see musicians perform and people cry, right? The
Yeah.
maximum I
Yeah.
have done is like someone choke on the water they are drinking. Like that's not that's not gracious.
Right. Phir, now there's this one set of yours that I saw on your channel, which has like super views, वगैरह. How long into your career is that? Because we're talking about उस वक्त वो board exam वगैरह सबकी बात हुई थी उसमें, and
Yeah.
all of that was happening. When was that like? Was that like a big focal point in your career? Was that just one set that you uploaded जो कि चल गया?
No, yeah. So for the longest time, I used to think that I'll do stand up full time.
Ah.
And in India, the cadence is, and now there are way more innovative ways to do this. But at that point of time, the only exposure I had was to do my best 10 minutes, record and release on YouTube, and then hope that because this is my tightest 10, it'll get picked up. And that's how it had happened for everyone, right? Like
Right.
Zakir,
Right.
I think Zakir Bhai really set the trend with that he put out his best 20, 22 minutes of his material and it worked. Abhishek Upmanyu did the same thing.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of people do the same trend. So that was my hope. So the videos that you see on my YouTube, I have put in a lot of effort in writing, in editing. Now I see them, I find a lot of writing irrelevant. I told you as well that I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
relate to it anymore.
Yeah.
But at that point of time, it was one of the biggest moments in my life to be able to. First of all, I did it in a comedy club, which was a 200 seater. And this is, I am not popular, right? So I sold 60 tickets just based on Instagram, and I did a fundraiser for it so that, more marketing happens. Like, I had put in a lot of thought that if people invest money, they'll share video also and all of
Right,
that.
right.
I was way over in my head, but that was a big moment to sell 60 tickets, to get my filmmaker friends to shoot it differently. Like, I wanted to look, I wanted it to look different. I wanted it to feel like I had put in a lot of thought. Like, I'll wear a kurta pajama and all of
Ah,
it. Now the videos didn't work and all of that, but now when I look back at it, it was one of the key moments. Like, I used to think that that would be a changing point in my stand-up career, but it turned out to be one of the most humbling experiences, because one of the learnings I had, and it's funny that not all underdogs are destined to win, is what I realized there. That I used to think, when I was not popular, I used to think, oh, I'm the underdog. All comics would like me. They would get me to open for them. Everyone in the circuit would appreciate me, that this is a young guy doing the best. And I grew up in stand up thinking, though, I'm that underdog kid who will come out and,
yeah, yeah,
just.
yeah, yeah. Of course.
And my videos came out. I remember releasing the video, going to take a nap, right? I remember that moment that, okay, I will wake up a star, and nothing had happened.
Right,
Nothing.
right.
And that's when I realized, yo, there's no pressure. You don't have to be a star immediately. It's art. Just keep
Yeah.
doing it.
Okay. But like अभी
Yeah.
जब मैंने देखी those videos, one my phone is also vibrating. When I saw the videos, अभी तो they have quite a few, like hundreds of thousands के हिसाब से तो have views. Is
So
that
it's you have to look at it in a way of selling tickets, right? Like, my job, I'm not a YouTuber. My job is to get those views and to be able to convert those people in
right?
shows.
Right.
So I did a tour, right? You know me, like the star that I am during those videos. I
Yeah.
had planned that I'll become popular and I'll go on a tour. And I
Mm.
had gotten a designer, like someone who studied in NID. It's one of the most premium design colleges in the country.
Yeah.
Paid them money to design a tour poster for me. They spent nights making. It's a
Wow.
beautiful piece of art, right?
Yeah.
And I went on that tour, Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. I sold 6 tickets in Delhi,
Nice.
4 tickets in Bombay,
Huh.
12 tickets in Bangalore. ठीक है, मेरा in one way flight ticket भी recover नहीं हो पाया.
But once chalo you sold the tickets there, did that turn into something like kuch conversion hua, या was it overall like not a great
No,
experience?
no. Definitely, like, online conversion happens. You start getting more corporate shows. There's more credibility in the market generally, because
Yeah.
now you have put out some work. So you definitely get more club shows. Like, I could go to a popular club and ask for a weekend, right? And they've
Yeah.
seen my work, so
Huh.
it's on merit that they would be able to. So a lot of good things also happen. But my learning was that, that's I had put on all my bets on just 2 videos when I was not at the best of my craft as well. Like, I did it too early. I was very young,
Right.
had not worked on the craft enough. Like, later I realized those things that I was too clouded by how it looks, how it is perceived, than what actually goes into building it.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a learning from there.
Are the audiences very different from city to city? Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, like
Oh,
every city has like a different vibe, right? Does that translate into what the comedy audience there likes, doesn't like?
sure. And I, like, at this point, I think we get like I also wanted to understand a similar thing about how audiences in Pakistan
Okay.
are and in
Yeah.
different cities.
Yeah.
So
I'm the
I'll
worst guy
get to
for this
that.
because I don't live in Pakistan.
You have
I,
had no exposure there.
nahi yaar, because when I left Pakistan 10 years ago, so 2010. उस वक्त there was very little stand-up comedy like happening regularly. I think there was one comedy group. I think they were improv, and then unme se this one guy Samisha, he started doing stand-up. वो चल रहा था. And there was a Saad Haroon who came America se aaya tha, legend SNL pe. He was a writer. No confirmation if this is true, but somebody said this to me, and I tell everybody, हाँ हाँ SNL पे था maybe. So And then there's this guy Danish Ali. I think he was also in that group, but it was a very small in Karachi, which is like the biggest city. I have no idea what was happening in Lahore, Islamabad. But yeah, in that 2007 to 2010 period, there's three names I can tell you that who were doing shows very irregularly. Like it was like always a big event. It was never ke
Oh,
उठ के चले गए, you
why?
know.
So is are you aware if there's a circuit now? If
There
open
is.
mics are
Huh,
happening?
there is. It's still not as common. After there's also it really had a hard stop after 2010 wala period because halat kharab ho gaye, the terrorism type shit was
Yeah.
happening. So all live events just stopped. Up until that point, they were on the rise, especially music, and then it all stopped due to terrorism. And also then I left, so my connection also ended.
Hmm.
But then over the past, I would say 3 to 4 years, once that shit has quieted down, music bhi बढ़ रहा है, comedy bhi बढ़ रही hai. Now it's like you can possibly, but it's still like in Karachi, you might have 2 to 3 events a week in like a good
Hmm.
month, but otherwise maybe one a week. And there's like maybe 10 people, 12 people doing it.
Okay. Okay.
So it's small, but लोग हैं अब. और it's to the point कि अब वो फड्डे भी शुरू हो गए ना कि हाँ bro मैं senior हूँ, you know, respect my shit. And then अब specials भी आ रहे हैं लोगों के, and
Oh,
like
okay.
there, yeah, it's developing, so there's like
Okay.
potential there. um but the main problem that people say, because the comparison हमारा immediately ना हर बात में इंडिया के साथ हो जाता है कि bro इंडिया में तो है, देखो इतने कॉमिक्स, पाकिस्तान में क्यों
Hmm.
नहीं, shit हमारी country. But then what people say is वही वाली बात, like you're saying कि there's like in multiple cities there's multiple open mics happening in
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
week.
You need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unless we have that, आप कैसे करोगे?
Correct.
So we're
Correct.
hopefully moving towards that, but the money thing, and you know, audiences are not as educated where they're like, you might see the same audience multiple nights, and if they see the
Oh.
same comedian,
Okay.
they'll be like, अभी ये तो वही jokes थे जो पहले सुने थे.
How?
So it's working, but slow.
Understood. Understood. How, like, are there any clubs there like
Not comedy. I think not comedy specific. तो मतलब वहाँ हो सकता है छोटा सा concert भी हो जाए. Might be an art gallery also. When I
got
was
it.
there was definitely no comedy specific places. But now I think there might at least be one. मेरा मसला ये भी है ना कि now if people are watching this, अबे साले को पता ही नहीं, कुछ नहीं रहता ही नहीं इधर ये. I mean, I don't know. It's fair. But I don't think there are many. And Karachi
Okay.
ke alawa, to I don't even know if there are, like Lahore, I don't know. Islamabad,
Hmm.
everyone's just rich. So udhar to pata bhi nahi. But like there's theater in
उधर ही होना
Islamabad.
चाहिए फिर तो, like a general trend is that do
Yeah,
comedy where the most rich live.
yeah. Also, I have to tell you, there's this horrible web series Pakistani Gen Z kids have made by the name of Midsummer Chaos. ठीक है? It's by the time, well, abhi, there's 2 episodes out. It comes out every Saturday.
Okay.
I urge you to watch it because it is so intensely unique. Not in a good way,
Okay.
but
Oh, okay.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
a roller
because
coaster.
all of Pakistani Twitter is going insane about this. They're like, "Oh, ye kya ho raha hai?" And
What is it about?
it's like, you know, Riverdale. It's like Riverdale.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. But Pakistan hai, so I think sex वगैरह नहीं होगा. But like it's
Hmm.
like burger. But you know, do you know what burger means? You've, I think, interacted with enough Pakistanis.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Now I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like extremely burger bache. Many of them are YouTubers.
Hmm.
And they just got together and they've just made like a web series and relationships, or you know, masle ho rahe
It's,
hain. Yeah, it's
were
fascinating.
you a burger bacha?
I have to be a burger bacha. Yeah, I don't think because to not be burger, you have to grow up in Pakistan. Firstly, first thing, I did not grow up. I grew up in Dubai. Not rich, but automatically Dubai. To bas.
Yeah, yeah,
हाँ,
yeah.
you have to be fluent in like English discourse. ठीक है ना,
Which
मतलब
you are.
हाँ, uh, your preferences need to be, you know, Western movies, music, TV shows, Pakistan servants. Again, I did not have it. I didn't grow up in Pakistan, and By the time I got there, I was like 13, so it was too late. Um, and then, your tastes have to be more West aligned. Burger, maybe there's levels. उसके नीचे
Okay.
एक bun kebab भी आता है. So bun kebab, yeah. So bun kebab is like, the desi version is like a vada pav. So it's like the desi version, somebody who's trying to be, but है असल में देसी है वो उससे नहीं होगा. It's that sort of,
Oh, yeah, huh.
yeah, yeah. This
He's
is
trying
very
too hard.
important. हाँ और वो नहीं होगा. He just didn't go to the right school. उसकी English में थोड़ी सी grammar के मसले हैं. ये नहीं हो सकता. So the huge social divide. Yeah, and then so that's basically all you need to know about Pakistan.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
quick
yeah.
under 2 minute primer on Pakistan.
Huh. But so the cities, are they different then in the vibe, audience
Oh,
wise?
for sure. Oh, for sure. Like you will see a clear distinction if you go from a first tier city to even a second tier city. Like if you're in Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, and then you come to say Ahmedabad and Pune, slightly smaller cities like that, you will see that audiences' perceptions, their expectations are slightly lesser. Like in
Mm,
smaller
mm,
cities, they're just happy
yeah,
that this is happening.
yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah.
just
So
happy that we have been giving the opportunity to be
yeah,
able to witness this. But if you go to slightly larger cities, they're more aware about stand up. They know what's good, what's bad. Stand up as an art form is such that even if the craft or the skill is bad, a comedian can still make a person laugh, right? So as they say, like, you could do some easy stuff to get the laugh out of people. Maybe you might not be impressionable, but what happens is when you do stand up in established clubs in Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, there the audiences are so much aware about what they are laughing at. They're so much
mm,
aware about the kind of stand up. It's not there yet. I'm making it sound like they're very intelligent. They're still amused and surprised by easy
yeah,
cheap stuff
yeah,
that we
yeah,
can do. uh,
yeah.
but still comparatively they're more aware. But I would say definitely overall Indian audiences, right, there's so much stand up content now available that everyone is exposed to all kinds of stand up. They know the
Mm,
complete spectrum of what's available to them. So
mm,
that's one thing good that has happened. But even in if you go to Delhi and then you come to Bombay, you'll see a difference. The Delhi
yeah,
audiences, and you'll see a difference between the comedians also coming out of those cities, right? Like
that it.
um, Delhi audiences sometimes like they'll question you, they heckle,
Oh,
right?
really?
And you have to really make them laugh. You can't just pass a
Yeah,
line. You have to have a punchline.
right,
You can't
right.
just say something by the way and expect them to laugh. They don't laugh at sassiness or something like
Acha.
that, right? They laugh at jokes.
Huh.
They'll heckle you. Bombay audiences give you that leeway. There's a little bit of pretense also, that if you talk about say world issues, and if you just throw in a bit of words, Bombay audiences give you that freeway that, oh, you're intelligent, you're one of our Twitter friends, let's
Huh.
give you a laugh. Haha, they do
Huh.
that. uh, Bangalore audiences, I would say, is a cultural mix. Bangalore is like the tech hub, so everyone from Bombay here and there comes and stays and works. So it has a very like a hustle culture.
Mm,
So even Bombay has that, but Bangalore has, everyone is just away from their home, so they're consistently hustling and working. So audiences in Bangalore are more, they're come for a good time. That's all they expect. Like
okay.
they're not here for bullshit. They just want a good time. So they'll come, they'll drink, they'll just laugh and go.
Okay. And are there like what topics wali baat? I think you said that there are people who have like preferences, and then the comedians are also like a product of their scene. A lot of, maybe it's just the ones I've seen, but there's a lot of political comedy happening in India. Pichle kuch saalon se. I don't know if that's like a general trend or if it's just like, like Kunal Kamra is obviously like fully into it.
Yeah.
And you know, Zakir, I think I've only seen a few of his, but I don't think उसमें बहुत
He,
politics था. It was like his personal stories, like how I fucked
what
up.
you have to, about Zakir, bhai, what you have to realize is that with Kamra and Zakir both, I think both of them do enough political stuff. Is that it's just that Zakir does it more in an allusion. He alludes to it. He tells those experiences or that political commentary through the experiences that he
Right.
has lived. Like
Right.
if you watch his special, right,
Huh.
what he'll do is beach mein ek do line aise hi bol dega even, and that's so profound and so political that you're like, we didn't expect this. And
Yeah.
then but he is, I think everyone in India does some to some level of political humor, because that's how much it is affecting us right now. I think you can't escape from it. um
Do you think
like
it's a
everyone
right
is
now
a
thing, or is it like just generally Desis love politics?
uh there's obviously this is love politics that's there, but right now it's the time is perfect, everyone has access to the internet,
Right.
so much more access to information, so
Yeah.
much more forming of like-minded people is happening, that it is bound to affect you and your thoughts, and you're bound to uh, talk about it. So that's what's been happening, that because of geo there's so
Hmm.
much access to the internet, people have opinions and they want to talk about it. And I feel most of the comics that I've seen in India, some part of their stand up either is about politics or about has some social commentary aspect to it. I just feel you can't escape just by the fact of your identity, whoever you are as a person, you are definitely commenting on it, because that's
Hmm.
how
Hmm.
absurd and escalated and extreme these things are in our country. Like it's so common for the social structure to exclude people in our society that everyone is bound to have such crazy experiences, which in hindsight seem funny.
So I was wondering, to pair, if you're doing all this stand-up comedy, there's obviously that story that got a lot of attention about the, I forget his name, M's and the Shadows boy, who was arrested for like some
Munawar,
jokes.
Munawar.
Munawar. Who was arrested for some jokes he did previously, but okay, yeah, Bibi Karega, that sort of thing. But chalo, he's one example. Um, is that also like a thing in anyone's your mind, for example? If you're doing political humor that is critical of the current
For sure,
establishment.
man.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Because
I'm
पाकिस्तान में
not.
नहीं होगा ये. पाकिस्तान में if your clip got as viral as it happened, so you would be in jail tomorrow. तो
Okay.
मतलब straight कि भाई ये कल्चर हमारा कल्चर एक तो फौरन पाकिस्तान का कल्चर खतरे में आ जाता है. This is against our values. All immediately ना in danger.
वेस्टर्न
Um,
कल्चर ने टॉक्सिक बना दिया है.
keep these. We have a word, I don't know if you've seen it on Pakistani Twitter, called liberal fascist. It means nothing.
No, no,
But
no.
people who don't like liberals, they just use this word, liberal fascist and pseudo rippers. These guys
Oh,
are the main
we have a word called librandu.
Librandu. Okay, yeah, that's good.
That's you see the class. You see.
Yeah,
um,
but वो फिर ऐसा
or
होता कि these guys are just doing cheap publicity or blah 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 फड्डा हो जाता है and हो सकता है कोई bad scene पे रहता है. So, but how much of a concern is that for you guys, or just you?
um, yeah, honestly, I have done enough extremely polarizing kind of material that could have put me into a lot of risk. But luckily, I've never experienced it face to face.
Okay.
I've gotten a couple of online threats, but I think that's if you are living in this age and if no one is giving
Yeah,
you
yeah.
death threats online, then
You're
are
not
you
doing
even
anything.
living? You're living or what?
Yeah.
So, but I think suddenly, obviously, it's quite scary because on Twitter also they ban, anti-establishment
Yeah,
posts.
yeah.
So the fear now is that they can get to me and they can also stop anyone and everyone speaking for me. And what happened with Munawar was just shocking because we had always thought about it. We had always spoken about it that, one day a comedian will go. It had always been a fantasy. It had always been a 10 years down the line, two more governments down the line. But it happened, and it was so real that he was actually in like custody for a couple of months, and that's when he
That's a
came
couple
out,
of
and his friends
months.
also came. Yeah, he was in there for a long period of time.
Acha.
So that fear is now there, and I think at least I am now very cognizant of as much as I like to not enjoy it, as much as I hate it, but I'm very cognizant of the fact of what I say on the internet,
Hmm,
especially.
hmm, hmm.
I am not lived. a good enough life to die right now. I
Yeah.
think I have good 15,
Yeah.
16 more years in me.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
Maximum.
saving. Uh, that's uh,
Okay.
but now it's now the game is kin you have to say what you want to say, but how do you package it in a smarter
Right.
way and not still not get into trouble? So that's what we
Mm.
have to do now.
Do you think audiences are in it, or like are audiences perhaps tiring of political jokes and that sort of thing? They're like, "Achana, just say something funny." Like the thing that happened with, like, for example, SNL. Okay, everyone's like, "Yaar, bas, ab ho gaya na Trump." Matlab, is there like any political joke fatigue ever that you've
Yeah,
experienced?
you see it at open mics.
Hmm.
Because what happens is when comics are new, they think कि अरे एक मैं इस पे joke मार दूंगा तो that's a guaranteed laugh that I can definitely punch up. And
Yeah.
so at open mics you will probably see you'll get that fatigue that that's not even funny, like okay, people have said it enough.
Yeah.
But even now if you see comics who have really worked on the joke and who really have something to say, uh, it's insane. You don't hit fatigue. I don't think you can hit fatigue because there's enough shit the
Hmm.
people in power do
Yeah.
for you to not keep making jokes about it.
I don't know why I'm focusing on the political bit so much, but are there people in the comedy circuit who take themselves and their humor excessively seriously? Ke matlab, we are changing society for the better. Is that a common? You don't have to
uh,
take any names, but ऐसा है क्या कि bro, ये अगर मैं नहीं बोलूंगा तो लोगों को पता कैसे चलेगा?
uh I don't know what the answer to that is. I think people take stand up very seriously in
Sure.
the circuit
Hmm.
and their own stand up very seriously because people
Yeah.
do it full time and they've
Yeah. Yeah.
made
Yeah.
careers out of it. But if you're asking me if there's some like this, there's a uh, cult of purists or something like that, I would say it's very disintegrated.
Okay.
There's no there is no cohesive group that is a cult which defines what's right, what's wrong. People are always, it's very democratized in that manner that
Okay.
people are always polarized. और अब तो ट्विटर है, मतलब
Yeah.
ट्विटर पे तो सब डेमोक्रेसी है ही, like you
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
really get away with shit anymore. You
Yeah.
know that people will come for you. So
Do people in India also think that Twitter is very toxic? Pakistan mein everyone who's not on Twitter, they're like, "वो बहुत toxic जगह है यार. They're just out to get you," or इस तरह का scene. And everybody who's on Twitter is like, where is this happening? Is that perception of Twitter there as well?
yeah, there is that perception for sure. But Indian
Okay.
Twitter तो toxic है भी, so it's
अच्छा,
completely
या पाकिस्तानी भी, हमारा
fair.
भी. It's true.
So it's completely fair.
Okay.
यार वो
Okay.
तो है ही definitely. I know a lot of popular people, जो popular comedians हैं, they don't tweet, they don't use the platform because of the amount of shit. एक तो ट्विटर ने लोगों को फेस के बिना
Yeah.
asshole बनने का सर्टिफिकेट दे दिया, तो
Yeah.
everyone just keeps using that power. It's प्योर प्राइमल प्रिमिटिव नीड पूरी कर रहे हैं वहां पे. सो
Yeah.
इट डज गेट टॉक्सिक आफ्टर अ पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. बट
Hmm.
again, I am at a phase of my career where I have no consequences and no one has anything to do. I have 1600 followers, so I can,
क्या हो
for me
जाएगा?
Twitter is for me Twitter is a place to learn and grow
Yeah.
and explore the world.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
those pressures.
नहीं वाकई वो, if you're like we often take these celebrity things and कहते हैं "वे यार ऐसा भी क्या है," but if you have like 20,000 भी followers and like even if 10% of them are constantly attacking you, that's like thousands of people who are like in your inbox.
I
um
can't I can't imagine how they do it, how
yeah.
creators do it.
Yeah, they don't ना, फिर they do what Irfan did. He's like, अच्छा बस कभी बात करनी होगी तो मैं
Yeah,
activate करूंगा, वरना it is deactivated, and
yeah.
that's it. That's how he keeps it. Shifting tracks completely. I saw
हाँ
this
जी.
video of yours on YouTube, on your YouTube, which was called, I think, Tryst with Destiny.
हाँ.
And it was about ये partition वगैरह सब कुछ ना.
Hmm.
So this has sort of been an interest of mine since the podcast has been going. As in पिछले साल lockdown में we spoke to this guy Jatin from Delhi. He does horror stories. Delhi Mirror, his name is on
हाँ हाँ
Twitter.
हाँ.
So अब we were talking to him and बात तो हो रही थी horror stories की. We do jinn stories, you know, jinn bhoot की stories like on the podcast. तो हमने कहा yeah nice, we'll get something. It turned into three Pakistani boys learn about Delhi. And that's what the episode jinn story, there were ghost stories, but that's what
Yeah.
it turned into. Where he's talking about it, yeah, there's this writer, Anchal Malhotra. She's also from Delhi. She wrote, you know, memories of partition. अच्छी किताब है, अच्छा हमने किताब देखी. I found some people, they're friends with her. So Anchal Malhotra भी आ गई on the show, and you know, the fuck. And then, because my family originally before partition is also from Delhi, so there is this interest that I've been going
Yeah.
on for a while about, you know, India wala scene, mera apna, meri family ka, which I have no exposure to. And then also the other way around, because Jatin's family, they're, I think, from Rawalpindi before the
Okay.
partition. I think Anchal's family was from Lahore, maybe. In that video of yours, you and your friend, do you guys also have what is now Pakistan connection?
No.
Okay.
No.
How did that video come about?
So I have always been academically interested in history,
Okay.
and I like my parents used to mostly live in towns in Rajasthan which were closer to the border. So I've always stayed on the borders, and I've always had classmates who have had stories about, you know, families across the border right there. It's right on the border, right?
Yeah.
So I've always been fascinated, and I've read so much literature that, and I think it's one of those things that something that becomes so much mysterious to you, you want to untangle it more and more. What fascinates me is how, like, an organizational decision impacted so many lives, so many generations across a period of time. And even now, right, like I'm so thankful to YouTube that I got access to people like Irfan, Muru, all these creators, uh, and so many food channels from Pakistan that I got access to. Just, I think food has been one of the reasons why I got very interested in Pakistani creator circle, because that's how I got access to it.
Yeah.
But my friend Samay, he also, we were just interested in the history of the partition and what happened, and we've had friends who have had stories, and we always generally in our discussions would talk about it.
Mm.
Would talk about incidents that this meeting had happened, this had happened, and this is how refugees ran, this is how whatever happened. It was a very sad story, but for some reason it has always stayed around with me in all the literature I read. And um, so we just decided, and we figured a thread that we were
Mm.
talking about what is home. We were talking about what do you associate your idea of home, and we thought that that would be a good personal thread,
Yeah.
and use that experience to talk about this one incident in history that impacted so many of us, right?
Mm.
I also wonder what would have happened otherwise, right? Like if it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
just, if we had access, if there was network, it would have been so much just sharing of knowledge, so much sharing of culture, which couldn't happen. And
Mm.
that's why I'm very fascinated. Even I, right, like you guys just wanted to learn everything from Jatin. I am always extremely fascinated about speaking to people across the border, because so many of our cultural nuances are same even after
Yeah.
such physical distances. Like
Yeah.
the way this whole burger thing is very similar to how we do it with South Delhi people, right? It's so
Right.
similar, and these
Yeah.
subtle nuances that fascinate me. And so that's how that video came about. We just recorded it and just put it up.
How did people react to the thing? Do you find that the message was delivered? If there was a message
the
even.
Yeah, the message I was just trying to lead to was there was no particular message. It was just us trying to define
Mm.
the, like, was trying to be empathize more with what had happened by defining what our idea of home was. But the kind of
Right.
messages I got were very interesting. I got messages from people across, I somehow, some people shared it across the border, got messages from those people talking about their family experiences, and how even now some of their grandparents wish to just get that one glance of their ancestral home or whatever. So it's just very sad, and it's sad that the access is so limited for whatever reason, security.
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, the response was generally good. I did get one hate message saying कि
Nice. एक तो आना
अब
चाहिए.
एक आना चाहिए शगुन का कि अपने देश की बात करो, उधर की क्या बात
Yeah,
करो.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, enough upper caste Hindu boys are talking about India. Like, so let us do something else.
What is your there was I remember something that also struck me from that video was your discussion about what what is the meaning of home? What does that mean to you? Have you moved a lot of places in your life?
I have changed 7 cities
Mhm.
and 9 schools. So I moved a lot, right?
Why were you
From the
moving bachpan mein?
my parents had a
Acha.
transferable job, so every two
Right.
to three years. And it's sad that my father was not even in the army. Otherwise it would have been like I'm an army brat. It's just he
Yeah.
had a job.
Yeah. Is it good to be an army? Pakistan mein bahut fayda hai if you're an army
बहुत
brat.
fun.
But India mein hai because my aunt is Indian and her dad he's retired as a brigadier in India. तो इन कंपैरिजन ना हमें लगा था यार इंडिया में इतना फायदा नहीं पाकिस्तान में बहुत ऐश है आर्मी वालों के एंड इन इंडिया देयर
अच्छा.
इज नॉट above society as much because Pakistan mein to if you're army the police doesn't matter nothing matters for your life. I think
Oh.
in India you guys are unfortunately a bit more fair.
अम, मेरे को पाकिस्तान के तो एक्सपीरियंसेस का मालूम नहीं है, बट
Hmm.
इन इंडिया व्हाट आई हैव सीन इज उतना स्पेशल एक्सेस नहीं है, राइट?
Right.
लाइक दे डू हैव there's always that group thing that army schools are
Yeah,
different,
yeah,
they have
yeah.
their own societies, everything,
Sure.
so that is there, that privilege is there, that all army kids good at sports, kid
Yeah.
like they're like trained to be,
Yeah.
तो वो सब है, but I don't think उतना privilege है जितना above the society or something like
Right.
that. It's still normalized. People
Yeah.
respect the army a lot,
Huh.
I would say, but that has more to do with the propaganda and everything than
Sure.
anything else.
But वैसे भी I mean there's a lot of like pride and stuff associated with the culture.
To the army for sure.
हाँ हाँ और पाकिस्तान में पैसों का भी फायदा please don't please don't take my video down. Disclaimer बहुत जरूरी है. अच्छा so you were moving a lot.
Yes.
तो फिर because I was associating with that because like I mentioned I grew up in Dubai till I was 13. ठीक है. Beach mein I have family in the US, so we'll go once or twice. But Pakistan, I was there for 10 years in Karachi, again going to the US. Then I left, I went back to the
Wow.
Middle East, job lag gayi udhar. I'm in Abu Dhabi for 5 years. Then 5 years, now I'm here. And much of my family is like my mamus and chacha vagara, they're in the US. So I'm
Okay.
like, so now there is no place where I'm like, this is where I belong.
Yeah,
I'm just
you're a
living
nomad.
in places. Yeah. And I told this to like this European colleague of mine here, and she's like, "How? So now you're a citizen of the world?" I'm like, "Yeah, मुझसे की बातें ना मत किया करो." Like this face is not allowed to be a citizen of the world.
Yeah,
So
we I think especially India, Pakistan, जो हमारा subcontinent है,
yeah,
is I think we are so हम लोग इतने भूखे हैं of oxytocin and serotonin.
yeah,
We need always people around who love us, who care
yeah,
for us, कि even if I'm having like a stomach ache, I need someone to make a hot drink.
yeah,
Westerners, Europeans don't have that. That's why they
yeah,
come to India and Pakistan and do like homestays to get
yeah,
that experience, which
yeah,
I think that's very true. It's very difficult to relate with the idea of being a nomad or
yeah.
citizen of the world. You need to have a home.
But how do you feel about it then? Are you like because मेरा तो ये है ना कि अच्छा अभी हो सकता है we'll move further to North America where most of my family is. So I'm like अच्छा ठीक है
Uh,
maybe if I spend 10 years there after that I'll be comfortable. Because abhi when I go back to Pakistan, I'm not like oh well, I'm back. And if I go
yeah.
to Dubai, I'm like huh now I'm just someone who doesn't live here anymore. And Ireland
That
also.
restlessness, you're
Yeah,
right, is always there because there is no particular place that gives you that complete comfort
yeah,
that you would feel. So that restlessness, I also like. agree with you that even in now that I'm in Bangalore, the thought is always, oh, 2 years, 3 years down the line, you have to go. So where will you go? What will you do? The idea of settling, but it doesn't come naturally to me as well. That
Right.
I the need of having a place to settle or the need of having a home, that doesn't really excite me. So that's not a problem for me. For me, it's one
Yeah.
thing less to worry about.
Yeah.
Like I will not have to worry about taking a home loan. Is what I'm saying essentially.
Yeah, okay. हाँ, because मेरे लिए भी है कि if I'm living somewhere, I think my aunt once asked me कि, how are things in Dublin जब मैं नया नया, तो मैं like, हाँ, internet सही है, cinema है, दोस्त बन गए थोड़े से, बस ठीक है. What else do you need?
Yeah, it's
Um,
there.
yeah. Do you have any, अच्छा, I thought now that we've had all this discussion, मुझे अभी ख्याल आया, do you have any questions about Pakistan that I can speak
I
for the
have.
whole country and
Yes.
solve immediately? Please
Yeah,
feel free to ask.
I wanted to understand the creator economy a little bit more. Ki how
Okay.
what stage it is that have creators reached a stage where they are making millions and millions of rupees, or brand deals have just started to come in
Yeah.
digital.
Yeah.
What is the industry at what stage it is right now?
Great question. And we have an episode on this 2 episodes ago. It's about Ittifaq. And what happened was that this guy got in touch. He's for this financial like newspaper, online magazine, something. And he had this like whole report on how do social media influencers make money in Pakistan. It's a coincidence that this happened like 3 weeks ago. Um, so yes, people make money in Pakistan on the internet, primarily on Instagram,
Okay.
and that is exactly ऐसे through brand deals. Because हमारा YouTube पे जैसे वो होता है ना CPM, that shit,
हाँ
unless कोई
हाँ हाँ
अमेरिका से
हाँ.
देख रहा हो, everyone's, अच्छा, इरफान के साथ ये बहुत होता है ना, when Irfan does not hate on something India did, people are like, ये इसकी audience है ना इंडिया से, पैसे आ रहे हैं इसके, and then a few months later he's like, देख लो, 200 रुपए बने हैं मेरे, मुझे नहीं आते पैसे. um, so yeah, it's all outside deals with brands or advertising
Okay.
agencies and stuff. People make money. Yeah. There's like, and it's like
Okay.
surprising because someone got in touch with us, and I'm going to censor this amount, but हमारा तो छोटा सा वो है, like I have like 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, 2,000 followers. Some bank, whatever, some agency got in touch कि ये bank wants to do some like paid thing. How much will you charge? अब मुझे पता ही नहीं,
Hmm.
मैं idiot, हाँ free में कर लूंगा. They're like, no bro, this is like a thing. So I'm like, okay, let
हाँ.
me get back to you. I go around, I ask people, and then they're like, हाँ क्या दो? And I was like, because in my mind it was an enormous amount, and people are like, bro, ये
हाँ.
all these girls posting with like some product and standardized caption, that's the minimum they charge. And I was
That's
like, oh
crazy. Hmm.
fuck, acha, okay.
So have
So
there अभी कोई ऐसे conglomerates आ गए हैं जो which manage a lot of influencers, creators, and who
not
are
yet.
defining?
I think
Okay,
that will
okay,
happen,
okay.
because what we talked about in that episode also was that these guys have started collecting and really looking at analytics. बहुत like करीब से ना, like what sort of followers do you have, what age groups, and then they're targeting. They're really going to get into those details when selecting who to hire for what campaign. So I think the next step will be ये मल्टी चैनल नेटवर्क्स.
Hmm.
अभी हमारा वो भी नहीं है. डज इंडिया हैव वो यूट्यूब और टिकटॉक पे जैसे होता है ना अमेरिका में, हाइप हाउसेस, like a group of young creators and they all,
Uh, हुआ है, थोड़ा सा
अच्छा,
start हुआ है.
yeah.
A version of it has started
Okay,
where there's a show where it's a villa in which all TikTok stars,
nice.
ex TikTok now in India,
Oh, एक,
TikTok
अच्छा, हाँ,
stars.
टिकटॉक बंद हो
हाँ.
गया. Yeah, yeah,
So they stay in that villa for 2-3 months, and it's like a full Big Boss situation
yeah.
happening.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, India में तो यार creator scene is so it's made so much money that it's becoming corporate now.
Right.
That there are
Yeah.
managers, there are like creators are becoming investors, and we are at that stage now. It's my
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
feeling.
yeah. In Pakistan, I think our industry will get there in a couple years, because it is, I think maybe 2 to 3 years old. This whole trend of,
Okay.
because हमारे यहाँ बीच में वो भी था ना. I think a big problem was कि YouTube was banned. for a few
Correct.
years. And then after that, like Irfan was when the thing really started taking up again. That time period, him, Muru, they all were similar. Muru has been around for much longer. He was a musician pele, so he'd make like music videos and stuff for himself and his own songs, and then he got into the YouTube game. But in my memory, early 2017 is when, when Irfan started. That's when it started taking off. So it will eventually, जहाँ पैसे आते हैं ना, people, corporate scene
हाँ,
immediately हो जाता है.
आ ही जाता है.
Yeah, like,
कैपिटलिज्म का यही एक
हाँ,
गिफ्ट है.
yeah, the art goes out the window, and it's like strategy banao, or do
Yeah.
all that shit. And then this is probably the fourth episode I'll be saying this in a row, where I'm like, I remember jab YouTube pe it was just like, abe, what a weird video, or wo chal gayi. But now it's like, brainstorm karo, vision board banao, and I'm like, abe, yaar, अच्छा, चलो ठीक है.
How's the podcasting scene? Because you have done crazy amounts of like to be able to be this consistent.
Hmm.
What are you getting? Is everything okay? Is what I want to ask.
Yeah, yeah. I have very little friends here, so this is how I say. It's literally how it started. Because जब मेरी दोस्तियां हुई थी with people when I moved from Pakistan to Abu Dhabi, तो वहाँ, first time living alone type situation, some formative friendships there also happened. And then I moved here, and here, though, I knew
Mhm.
nobody. In the UAE, at least, I was like, हाँ बचपन में रहता था, I understand the culture, ये वो. So I was like, अब क्या करें? So इत्तेफाकन I had gotten, like, coincidentally I gotten this mic. I have something, मैंने कहा चलो podcast कर लेते हैं. That, and it
Hmm.
is possible कि we are Pakistan's at least second podcast ever.
Wow.
Yeah, a very small achievement. क्योंकि अभी भी I don't think the total number of podcasts ever crossed like 15. Like, I don't think
But
so.
that's well, you're super early in the game, dude. And
Huh.
I'm talking, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
probably like 3 years down the line, some people might discover me from this video then.
That will mean that things went really wrong for you. Okay, this is where they had to get to you. But अब शुरू हो गया. In the lockdown again, people wanted to get into YouTube, but they couldn't because बाहर जाना ही नहीं है. So
Hmm.
people started podcasts. A lot of podcasts came and went.
Hmm.
Though, but a few have stayed around, and also some of the older YouTubers, like Muru has a podcast, and a few
Yes.
others. So this is also a YouTube development stage. Na, कि आपने पहले you made
Hmm.
prank videos, then you made a bit more long form, and now you're like, I'm grown up. We'll have conversations.
Yeah.
So you can see the
Hmm.
disdain in my voice. But yeah, so there is that. I
Hmm.
don't know. I mean, at this point, I'd say there's like five or six constantly running ones.
Got it.
Yeah.
From just a vlogging point of view, though, I feel that Pakistani creators have really upped the game. I've not seen like it's a lot of innovation, the kind of vlogs that started coming out of Pakistan. Usually vlog template to break through Casey Neistat's template is very difficult.
Yeah.
To be able to do that and build a recall value for you, I hope that happens with podcasts as well, because India maybe while podcasts are picking up and there are a lot of listeners, but I don't think there are a lot of big podcasts that are popular amongst the masses that everyone
Hmm,
talks
hmm,
about.
hmm, hmm,
It's
hmm.
still very niche
Yeah.
centric that yeah.
Either we like we're on YouTube, and people. The thing is, okay, you can either watch like a 5 minute video, or you have this 1 hour commitment,
Yeah.
and that's hard. Audio में इतना है नहीं कि बस लगा हुआ है सुन रहे हैं. It's slowly picking up. I don't know if it ever will. But my also thing is that I have a day job. I don't need to make any money from this, which is good
That's
because
cool.
I
Yeah.
make none. So it's nice how that worked out. But हाँ
Hmm.
चल रहा है. I mean, through this, I have gotten to speak to uh, people who are doing some interesting stuff. Like there's you, there's Jatin, there's Anchal, people from India who वो तो कोई सीन ही ना होता ना, like I would there would
कभी नहीं
have
होता
it
है.
would just not have been possible. And then Irfan to chalo coincidentally we got in touch with him very early on, so it worked out and we've been speaking consistently, and
Hmm.
because of him I think we have a lot of market में ना brand recognition, even though following कम है, but people are like, oh yeah, remember Irfan went on this show, तो लोग आ जाते हैं.
Interesting. Oh,
But
I
yeah,
did not realize the impact Irfan has on the digital audiences in Pakistan.
bro, he's not the biggest YouTuber. There are many bigger than him, or at least a few bigger than him. But I think in terms of impact on the culture, it is enormous. And he's probably going to listen to this, or he'll watch Sharma Jayega because he's like extremely. The problem with Irfan is he has not fit the mold of a celebrity. And we have many discussions, sometimes involving him, ki what is wrong with this guy? Because he did not turn into an asshole. और हमें उम्मीद थी कि ये तो होगा. He's so famous. Why is he still a nice guy? Why is he still? Oh, भाई, crippling imposter यार syndrome के bro. इसमें क्या art है? Vlogging छोड़ दी because he
Yeah.
was bored with the medium. I was like, भाई पैसे बनाओ. But like it's very weird. And his cultural impact, because initially he had like Pakistan mein, there was this thing when Irfan Junejo got popular, everyone had to have a catchphrase. So his thing was scenes kuch aise hain, not coming
Hmm.
slow, uh, these sort of things. And people who have never seen Irfan Junejo have no awareness
Yeah.
of his stuff. They use these
Use
lines.
these. That's
Now it's
insane,
part
actually.
of like language. And still he's like शर्मीला सा एक लड़का है और fully ultra down to earth to like this like
मुझे
हाँ
like this is when I don't like I have very controversial opinions about audiences and people who consume art anyways, which I would not want to talk in a public podcast because then जो छोटा audience है वो भी छोड़ देगा. But I feel that audiences में empathy खत्म ही हो चुका है. वो
zero
उनको लगता है कि ये creator AI machine है. And the reason why they like these creators, like people, the reason why they would like Irfan is because he's honest, he's true, what he is in front of the camera. Then how can you expect that guy to be, hey, how
yeah
in real
yeah
life, how can you expect him to play the games? You like
it's
him because he didn't play those games,
it's gotten
firstly.
to a point where the expectations, I think it's a problem that became a product of like because ये free था. YouTube was free. And there's just this guy who looks like you, talks like you, he's going to these places, and now he's your friend. So chalo, theek hai, that's the vlogging dynamic. But
Hmm.
because okay, you don't actually know him, and मैंने इसको चढ़ाया है, मैंने इसको popular किया है because of my
Hmm.
views. So then ये expectations आ जाते हैं कि
Hmm.
show me more about your personal life. Why don't you bring your family in your videos? कश्मीर पे वीडियो क्यों नहीं बनाई तुमने? Political angle भी तो है ना हमारा. So and then when he says shit like I don't feel like I'm, comfortable being like an authority on these regional, political, social, cultural issues. मैं
Hmm.
अपनी videos बनाता हूँ. This is what I do. Then people are like, no, not acceptable. Cancel करो इसे जाके. It's this weird, I don't know, man. Like entitlement का scene बहुत bad है in audiences.
यहाँ पे भी है यार, सेम है. लाइक कुछ भी होता है, दे एक्सपेक्ट कॉमेडियंस एंड वीडियो
Yeah,
कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स टू हैव एन ओपिनियन अबाउट इट. इनको क्यों प्रेशराइज कर रहे हो टू एजुकेट योर्स? यू गूगल इट आउट मैन. लाइक
yeah,
व्हाई आर यू दिस गाय? ये अपने सर पे दुपट्टा डाल के मम्मी का एक्टिंग करता है. व्हाई वुड
yeah,
यू एक्सपेक्ट हिम टू हैव
yeah,
nuanced political opinions?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't get it.
And I don't know, man. It's like we have
But
these.
that's why I really like podcasts, because no matter how pretentious it sounds, but podcast is bringing back long form discourses जो गायब हो गए थे, because people don't have the time, right? Earlier
Yeah,
people had a lot of time. They would just sit around drinking tea, talking, and there would some discourse that would happen.
yeah,
Podcasts are doing that. Like at least I don't have a 30-second limit
yeah.
to make a
Fit karo.
point. I
Make
can
a
just
soundbite.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you watch random question? Did you watch Bo Burnham ka abhi wala special? Inside?
of course, man.
Yeah.
I saw it. It's
Did
like
you
it
like?
was a very
Did you get fucked up? Thoda sa bhi?
a little bit. It's too
Mm.
sad. I think it has a very underlying tone of sad.
Yeah,
And Bo Burnham does that in each special, like words, 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 what, make happy. But with every special, the ratio of sadness is just going up.
Yeah,
right? In what, so he would throw glitter on stage and he would do
yeah,
silly impressions, and make happy also he would like do some jokes. Inside was just it was, I got uncomfortable with how real it was.
yeah,
That's my problem with it. It was too real.
yeah. Someone was telling me that they were watching it, and the fact that they understood all his internet references, like यार हमने जिंदगी अपनी जाया कर दी हमसे सिर्फ इंटरनेट पे टाइम गुजारा है हमने. We have done nothing. And yeah, I don't know, man. It was, somebody watched it when they were high, ठीक है? And
Huh.
they're like, I couldn't watch it. I stopped watching like 20 minutes into it. Then the same person watched it fully like drunk, and they're like, I loved it. It was so weird, this example. But yeah, man, I like Bo Burnham a lot, and there's a lot of like, art बहुत था इसके अंदर. But
इसकी बहुत skill था.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like
If I had
it's
to if like I would say that it was, you don't watch it with the expectation of a stand-up special. It's
yeah,
a 1 hour special by Bo
yeah,
Burnham. This,
yeah,
it's not so much stand-up or comedy. It's
yeah.
something different.
It's like a very unique artistic expression thing. बस एक
Yeah,
कमरे में बंद.
yeah,
Also because
yeah.
of COVID, it was such a weird like period in life. Not even was, अभी भी चल रहा है. Did you get
मुश्किल
vaccinated?
है यार. I did. I got my second shot yesterday.
Very good, very good.
Yeah,
Okay. And
done,
now, how
done.
are COVID things now where you are? Are people stressed? Are people getting better?
अपना ये attention span इतना है यार, थोड़ा सा down जाता है, people are like, okay, it's time to dance in the streets again. People don't learn. Like second wave, it was so bad, the conditions got, I'm sure you must have read about it, like
Uh-huh.
we were really in trouble.
Yeah.
And now a lot more people got vaccinated. We took the lockdown seriously for a couple months. Now things are getting slightly better, and we are back to opening up malls, going to parks, doing
एक
whatever.
दूसरे के मुंह के
And
अंदर घुसे हुए हैं सब. पाकिस्तान में भी ऐसा
और
ही है.
अब बोल रहे हैं कि सितंबर में there will be a third wave coming. I'm just like so tired of this shit, man. Like
Yeah.
it's
इधर
I
ना,
now I am, yeah.
in the West, it's been like really weird to see the entitlement in people, where they're like, बाहर जाना हमारा right है. It is our right to party, or like that Beastie Boys song. And I just cannot relate to it. Like, bro, तुम pub खोलो, मेरा हक है pub पे जाना. Like, मर रहे हैं लोग, नहीं, pub खुलेगा.
Yeah.
And that's just been the way it is. There's no
इतने लोग मर रहे हैं, गम
हाँ.
मिटाने के लिए दारू तो पीना ही पड़ेगा. So that's
I guess, but yeah, इधर भी lockdown. They had, Ireland has had very long lockdowns, और अभी खुलना शुरू हुआ, और literally लोग नंगा नाच रहे हैं सड़क पे, like literally naked men on the streets. Like, what the fuck is happening? And I don't know, man. It's just been weird. But khair, I'll not stretch this too long. You have a Zoom show coming up. I saw Abhi.
yes.
You mentioned. I thought it might be your first, but it's not your first. You mentioned you've done a few.
Yeah, I've been doing Zoom shows, not at the same frequency at which we would do live shows.
Okay.
What it should have been the opposite, but Zoom show is so much more energy. So,
Really?
like, yeah, dude, you have to, because there's no eye contact. You don't have that. Stand up is a power dynamics, right? You don't have that
Looking
control. You
down
don't
at
have that.
people.
Yeah,
Do you keep
just you have that.
the mics on for people so that you can hear laughter?
We ask them to, but sometimes people, they're also shy. They don't turn it on.
Acha.
But I've been doing shows. I have another one on 25th June. It's all mostly new jokes.
Yeah.
I call it Welcome to My Bedroom, because
Oh, it's going to be
this
here?
is where I perform. Yeah, this is where I'll
Nice.
perform.
By the time this episode comes out, ye aa chuka hoga. So how did you feel about the Zoom? Give me like a good reaction and a bad reaction based on your past experience.
It was really fun. Some people after the show called me Carlin of India, probably.
Completely valid. And what would like a negative reaction, or no negative to nahi de sakte na publicly, Not as
दे
positive
सकते हैं
reaction.
यार.
Oh, अच्छा बोलो.
I am all in for self-deprecation and
Right.
मतलब imposter syndrome हमको भी touch किया है बहुत ज़्यादा. Okay. So
Okay.
so bad reaction is just they didn't laugh, they didn't turn their cameras on, and they left early.
Yeah.
That would be a yeah.
Once I'll get in touch with you like at the end of the week, and we'll see which one of the clips
ठीक
we
है.
think. Chalo. Is there anything else you want to talk about that we didn't cover? Any Pakistan questions? I can be your Pakistan authority. Okay? As you can see, I'm an expert. Kabhi raha nahi hu main.
Yeah, you
34
you
mein se
in
10 saal.
Dublin.
Yeah. And all of Pakistan will love that I'm taking this responsibility. They'll be like, we're constructive.
I wanted to talk a lot, just because I've seen so much content. Honestly, like I know now कि अच्छा कराची में अच्छा street food किधर मिलता है. Like I know. Okay, so I just wanted to talk more about it, but I have to leave at 8:30 somewhere. So
come back. We'll talk
yeah,
about. We'll
would
give
love
you
to
a
speak more.
podcast tour of Pakistan.
Done. That's a cool idea. I would love to know more.
Yeah. Where do you want people to find you? On Instagram, YouTube?
Instagram is cool, man. Instagram.
ठीक है तो आप जाएं जरा नीलक्ष भाई के Instagram पे. Buddy, thank you very much. I'll stop recording. Let you go. But I hope you come back.
Really nice talking to you, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thank you. TPR board, Mohala पर everything. Find the links. Do the thing. Bye.